Hello everybody and welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thank you for joining me. It's Friday night. We are live. I knew that was going to happen. I was trying to preemptively catch that. Welcome back to my channel. We're doing live readings tonight. It's our Friday night reading. Hello to everybody in the chat. It's nice to see you. Thank you guys for joining me. We've already got some people in the queue who are waiting. How is everybody doing this evening? Let me know. Apologies, I gotta turn my sound off so that way I don't blast all of you guys out while I'm doing this live. Okay, cool. How's it going? Hello. Hi, Sam. Hi, Lucas. Hey, Soph. Hey, Catherine. It's nice to see everybody. I'm just now kind of catching up to everything that's in the chat. How you guys doing? As usual, oh, hey, Pato. As usual, we are going to start with our level 3 subscribers. Those of you guys who are part of the level 3 who want to cash in on your September reading now, you're more than welcome to. People like Paula, Nancy, Jessica, Catherine, Angeli, and Sam. Any of you guys who would like to get your reading this evening, please let me know. That's the benefit of being a level 3 subscriber. You're going to get one reading a month, whether it's one tarot reading or one astrology reading. We alternate Fridays. So last week was astrology. This week is going to be tarot. By being a level 3 member, you support the channel. You're going to get a shout out, and you're also going to get one 3-card spread or one astrological question per month. I am unable to afford Lucian Mechanics. Hi. Everybody's doing okay. It's kind of a funky energy today because, you know, the moon's in Leo, which is usually pretty peppy and lively, but it's building into an opposition with Saturn and then a square to Uranus tomorrow. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm already feeling transit Venus coming into a square with Pluto. It's definitely a setup for a rather intense like holiday weekend, at least here in the States. So really up until Monday, we're going to see some just kind of like moodiness. Okay. So let me know, those of you guys who are some of my subscribers who are part of the level tier. Those of you guys who are new to my channel, welcome. Thanks for watching. Here's the deal. Here's how it works. We're going to do readings in a live public setting. You're going to be able to ask your question. You can pay via super chat, or you can also pay in the link below in the chat. You'll see that there is a PayPal link that is pinned. $20 for 1 card, $40 for 3 cards. Ask whatever you would like. We are going to be doing readings in the order that they were received. So next in the queue, outside of any of our members, we do have Carrie, Sophia, Catherine. You guys are going to be the next ones up on deck. So let me know. And as always, we appreciate your support, your like, your comments, your shares, even if you want to participate in the chat. We love it by subscribing and also hitting your bell button on the bottom button below. You're going to get alerts when I have videos. Guys, I'm working on so much stuff for you. Get excited if you haven't seen it already. I put out an extra video this week that was all about the new moon in Virgo. It's an hour in-depth video talking about my predictions for this new moon that's coming and how it's going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs. I talk about the aspects that are going on from the trine to Uranus and also the squares. So it's a bit of a funky one. It's really good for setting new intentions and putting things into motion right after the new moon. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But I have some other videos that are going to be coming out in this next week as well. I just got done filming a financial and a crypto video about crypto and astrology and my perspective on the future of Bitcoin. And I have a special guest, so you guys stay tuned for that. And I'm also getting ready to start working on what I think is probably going to be some live lectures that I'm going to do about the Mercury retrograde in Libra, because this is a really potent one and it's very much tied to the Venus retrograde at the end of the year. You guys are probably sick of hearing me say that, but once we get into like the end of September through December, you're going to be like, whoa, a lot of the things that you predicted was bang on. So if that's something you have an interest in, let me know. I'm thinking about making an event and like selling tickets and then doing like a live, even like a 2-hour thing with a Q&A, so you guys can ask me questions and talking about what's coming. All right. Everybody's asking about signs. I like it. As you said, it would happen in Arizona, another, New Orleans helping out. Okay, cool. So Sam, let me know if you have a question. Otherwise, I'm gonna kind of move down the list. So if you have something that you want to think about, let me know. The first person that I'm going to start off with is going to be Carrie Richard. Just so you guys know also, when you make a purchase on the PayPal link, feel free to let me know if that is the same name as your screen name, because sometimes they don't always mix. And equally, I need to know if you have a question, you can put it in the memo box. So Carrie, if you're listening, pay attention. Hey Candace, I love a 3-card reading. Feeling wiped out lately, holding the light for the shit show. Miss my boyfriend in LA, I'm in Texas. I guess whatever I need to hear. I love these Fridays. Thank you very much, Carrie. Let's take a look at what the cards have to say for what is coming for you. And like I said, Sophia, you're gonna be on deck, and Catherine. Nice to see you guys. I feel like we're getting to hang out on a Friday night. Definitely haven't had a girls' night with Sophia in a long time, but this will have to suffice. All right, Carrie, so let's see what you need to know. All right, so notice that all of these cards are coming up reversed, okay? Tarot is good for asking about whatever you would like, Lucas. You can ask about anything. Tarot is a reflection for what's going on with you and your subconscious. All right, so for Carrie, you know, 4 of Swords reversed definitely is an energy of feeling wiped out, right? So when we look at the deck and we see what's kind of going on here, the 4 of Swords can be a card that talks about needing rest, recuperation, taking a step back, needing to like heal, even just like catching up on sleep. So when it's reversed, it's saying it doesn't seem to matter what you're doing. There seems to be issues revolving around like actually finding that time to rest. Maybe you're laying down, but you're not actually sleeping. Maybe you're taking time off, but you're really anxious and you're worrying. Maybe there's something that's going on that is really not allowing you to kind of like settle, or it's not allowing you to like really feel like you're getting peace. The 4 of Swords, when it comes up reverse, can also be talking about literally like uncomfortable living arrangement or an uncomfortable bed. It can also equally be talking about something uncomfortable about the living situation. So is it that you're kind of in limbo? Like, are you in a situation where you're trying to figure out like how long are we going to be living at a distance? That's a question that I would have for you. I also kind of wonder, looking at this, that, you know, the 9 of Coins comes up reversed, so it's also talking about living in a situation or being in a place right now, either financially or energetically, where, yeah, you've kind of maxed out. You're not really giving time to yourself, or you're not actually taking time to energetically separate your life or kind of like compartmentalize your life. It's like a lot of like things blending into each other. This is a card that deals with Neptune. This is a card that deals with taking care of your health, your wellness, your finances. And so when these 2 cards come up reversed, it's saying like you're burning the candle at both ends, or you're in a situation where you wish you could do more, but you're scaling back on something. This can be like spending less, eating less, focusing less on wasting money, really focusing on, you know, getting to a point where you can make changes. So this is a temporary space. 4s, in my opinion, are definitely super temporary. It's not meant to be a long-term thing. It is a situation that is going to be probably about 4 weeks, max of 4 months. I'm wondering, like, obviously, like, some people can totally do long distance relationships, but something about this makes me feel like there's a lot of loneliness, or there's a lot of isolation, and not feeling like you can rest comfortably with where you're at right now. So I'm wondering, how are you dealing with anxiety? How is that being managed? What is it that you're focusing on in terms of your goal ahead? What are you focusing on saving for? What's going on here? So let me know, Carrie. That's a question that I definitely have for you. The Hangman also comes up reverse, so it is talking a lot about feeling isolated, or feeling like you're stuck, like you can't make a change. This can also be talking about like feeling like, you know, you're spiraling, right? So this card can talk about Neptune transits going on in your chart. It can also equally talk about feeling like you're stuck in a situation you cannot get out of, literally suspended. Usually when the Hangman is willingly upright, he says, I'm going to go and get perspective. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to come back. Something about this card makes me feel like getting into a routine before going to bed can be very helpful. I also kind of chuckle and I look at this because this is about being alone. So if you were in a situation where there was a pattern or there was a tendency of you spending a lot of time with your significant other, you became very comfortable sleeping in a bed next to them, being around them, having them around, and then kind of adjusting to like now not sleeping in the same bed, not seeing them all the time, and energetically kind of feeling like, wow, like this is really challenging for me to not have this person that's around all of the time, whether it's physically sleeping next to them or just kind of like feeling like your energy is off and you're just kind of, you know, off kilter. The Hangman also talks a lot about being mindful of, you know, how you are moving your body or what you're putting in your body, what you're eating, what you're drinking. This can be a card that also comes up and it talks about yoga as a means to move energy or move grief physically through the body. So that's something else that I would encourage you to really focus on. I feel like sometimes the Nine of Coins can get too fixated on the physicality of life. Am I making enough money? Am I paying the bills? Do I have enough? Am I comfortable? But there seems to be some sacrifice that's kind of going on with the Hangman right now, where it's saying you're making a sacrifice for a better cause. Whether that's like, okay, we're going to live at a distance for a period of time until, you know, I save up money and then we can like move and be closer together. If the sacrifice is that, you know, you're focusing more on your health and your wellness and scaling back a little bit on spending and indulging or spoiling yourself, that can be something else that's coming up. But it's also reminding you that part of spoiling yourself or taking good care of yourself, which is the Nine of Coins, can also be scaling back and not always feeling like you have to be working all the time. So it's really a reevaluation of what's going on with you in terms of like your resources and your values. And you might kind of look at things and go like, man, like I'm really wiped, I'm exhausted, I need more time off, but I'm living this lifestyle that has me set up in a certain way. And it's trying to get you to slow your roll and really look at your lifestyle and ask yourself, does it make sense for you to take a step back and start making sacrifices so you actually feel like you're getting peace, or that there is some sense of you actually having relaxation when you are taking time off? So I would really encourage you to think about that. Really be mindful of how you're moving your body, meditation, being in water, rest, coming up with a routine before you go to bed, doing some yoga to move the energy around in the body is great. You know, that's what's so awesome about yoga, is that one of the teachings of like Yogananda is he talks about ascension, and that the body vibrationally is not, it's not meant to deal with ascension well, or it's not meant to deal with higher vibrations well. So the whole point of yoga is not just the spiritual practice and the integration of the beliefs or the mantras or whatever, or even the lifestyle. It's more about getting your body to a point where when you are ascending, you're actually moving the energy through your body so you can adapt and move to a higher perspective spiritually. So it seems to me like a lot of it deals with your lifestyle, and there are some kind of shifts that are going on where you may feel like you're kind of decluttering or adapting more of like a minimalist lifestyle, when in reality it's because you may feel like you need more peace or you need more relaxation. So I definitely kind of get the impression, just looking at this, that if you really take a step back and you look at this and you start scaling back, you're going to realize that your values shift and you don't become so overly focused on providing or making. You become more focused on health and wellness. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful for you. Let me know. That was for Carrie. Up next we got Sophia Knapp. Just catching up with what you guys are saying. Hey Paula, thank you very much. It's my new prize piece. Wait till you see the other half of it. Wait till you see the other half of it. Paula, let me know. Sam, let me know if you guys want your reading for the month. You can cash in on it now. Otherwise, you can catch me on another Friday, because I'll be back here Fridays throughout the month. So if you're not ready to ask a question now, you can later. Thank you. Okay, Sophie, hit me. What's your question? Also, Catherine, you're on deck, so you can ask it if you would like, or you can keep thinking about it until you're ready. Next week. Okay, I got you. So we've got Sophia and we've got Catherine. Those of you guys who are just joining, we're doing live readings. If you would like to ask a question, we're doing one or we are doing 3 cards. I almost said 4. 1 or 3. 1 for 20, 3 for 40. Check the link in the chat and you can send a PayPal and you can get on the queue. You guys are hilarious. Okay, Catherine's asking, and Sophie's going to be asking, what's the energy around my living situation, finding a new place? And Sophie asks, love life, what's up with Nick? Anything I need to know about? So I'm going to ask Sophie, and then I'm going to move over to you, Catherine. All right, so let's focus on that, Mr. Nick, and what you need to know about. All right. So notice the spread starts off with a whole lot of cups. The 6 of Cups talks about simplicity, reunion, soulmates, connection, sweetness, sharing. This can be a card that comes up that talks about soulmates. This can also equally be a card that comes up and it really talks about somebody who is familiar. This is a card that deals with reunions. So if somebody's asking, like, are they going to come back around? What's going to happen? Am I going to hear from them? Is there anything like that happening? 6 of Cups. That is a card that talks about 6 days, 6 weeks, increments of 6. But also notice that, you know, you see that the man or the little boy is handing the cup off, right, to the woman. So it is also talking about like some kind of an initiation of somebody coming back around or somebody coming through and basically saying like, hey, I want to reconnect. I want to catch up. 6s for me always deal with like this build up until you get to 7. And 7 is when we start kind of basing the energy off of other people. So 6 of Cups can be talking about reminiscing, thinking about wanting to connect, thinking about wanting to reconnect, focusing on the sweetness, memories, things like that. Somebody who is like super familiar. Then we've got the 2 of Cups. So these two together does definitely talk about something going on revolving around a karmic relationship. Somebody who's coming back to you and basically saying, hey, can we get together? In my opinion, I kind of see like this is kind of like backwards where there's already been like a touching base. There's already been a sense of like reconnecting. So for the 2 of Cups to follow that in the right now, it's basically talking about a invitation or an opportunity for partnership or relationship. Somebody saying, can I come over? Can I see you? Can we grab a drink? Do you want to have dinner? Can we go on a date? And the 2 of Cups also, now you see that this is a matured version of these 2 younger little kiddos. So I think it's interesting that it kind of starts off as something that's like more sweet and kind of like innocent. And then it moves into something that's more kind of like, okay, now we have a better understanding of like where we're both coming from. And what do we have that we can offer one another? 2 of Cups can sometimes be, because it's the card that follows the Ace of Cups, is the beginning of a potential relationship or some kind of union or sharing something with each other. The third card is the 8 of Swords. Now, this is a card that can look a little gnarly because you do see like the woman that's kind of blindfolded and like tied up, and there can be some aspect of, especially on a mental level, feeling stuck or restricted, like not really knowing how things are going to play out, like an actual limitation where this can be you going like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to hear from them. I don't know if I'm ever going to see him again. I don't know what he's thinking. This is a very mental card because it's dealing with the swords. Notice though that, you know, even though she's blindfolded and she's bound and she's surrounded by swords, it's basically saying like, being stuck is more a state of mind. And like, you know this because you know the cards, but being in a situation where you're not actually stuck, actually being stuck would be like the 10 of Swords, right? Or maybe even being in a situation with the 4 of Swords. But the 8 of Swords is saying when you're dealing with the energy or the thoughts or the ideas of another person, the anxiety or something that's revolving around a situation where that person is like saying like, I can't, I don't think I can, I don't know if I can. And it's not about their life, and it's not even really so much about you. It's about opening their heart and being vulnerable. because to an extent, like I see this as a situation where it's saying until this person is really willing to like put themselves out there, and until they're willing to be vulnerable and willing to get hurt again, there can't be a union until he decides to take off the blindfold and, you know, remove all of this, like, you know, all of this binding. And then once he looks around and he realizes like, oh, it wasn't really that challenging. It was more my state of mind, or it was my anxiety, or it was the fact that I've been seen. That's something else that I see with like the sequence of these cards, is about being seen. Like, some people can be in relationships for months or even like years, and you're like with this person and it's like very superficial. And so I kind of get the impression that there has definitely been a sense of like superficial interactions that he's had, or maybe even previous interactions that you've had with this person that's been superficial. But there has been a recent encounter where it almost seems as if this person is now super vulnerable. They've been seen, they've said things, there's been interactions where all of a sudden they're like, whoa, like that person's super, super, super transparent. Like, it's not surfacey, it's not bullshit. And that's scary. So I kind of feel as if like he's in a situation where he sees you as somebody who's warm and open and receptive. But, you know, he may say that he is, but I think really like the reality is hitting the fan. And there's this realization that's going on right now where he's like, oh shit, like I can't bullshit this person. Once I, you know, come into union, or once I reconnect with this person, I have to really show up and take the blindfold off. And I think he acknowledges that he's already been seen. And so there is a sense of like anxiety, because I think maybe he knows that there is a really deep soul connection and that there is a familiarity there. And he's really having a difficult time mentally wrapping his head around this idea that's like, once I go in that direction, there may no be going back, or I can't hide my true feelings, or I can't really disguise what I'm thinking, like, or I can't play this person. This is somebody who, in a way, like, is on my level and like is gonna see through my bullshit. So you have to really wait and like let him sit in that silence, or let him sit in that moment of sitting there, because he's the only one that can pull him out of it. That's the whole beauty of like meeting like soulmates, is like, and I see this a lot with clients where it's like, right when you go through a breakup and you go through like some kind of a severance or something happens, you can oftentimes meet another person who's literally been in the same situation, and you can jump in and you can save them, or you can take a step back and basically be like, I already did my end of this shit, go and do your shit and get back to me. This is literally not contacting, not helping, not reaching out, not trying to save him. It's being like, okay, cool, well, you know, you're freaking out, acting like this is like an end of the world situation, but when you take the blindfold off, you realize that really these are all of the mental restrictions that you have set up for yourself. So when you decide to be a big boy and you want to like move out of that situation, call me, I'm receptive, I'm open. There will be a reunion, there is going to be a reconnection. 6 days, 6 weeks. But I think him sitting in this is really good, because it's almost going to be in a way where he's just like, well, why isn't she reaching? Why isn't she, you know, trying to help me? Why isn't she calling me? That this is his shit. This isn't your shit. I also see the Eight of Swords as really dealing with like a lot of like Gemini energy, or a lot of like Mercurial energy. So it can be talking about, you know, with what's going on with the North Node in Gemini, that it's like really rubbing him the wrong way, and he's having a really hard time like being open and like being transparent, authentic about his communication and his thoughts. And so right now, yeah, nothing can happen until he gets his mind right, and he starts realizing that like relationship and union and divine connection can happen once he allows himself to mentally break through whatever the limitations have been. But yeah, it looks like a reconnection. But you know, whatever it was beforehand, where it was like more sweet and kind of innocent and kind of testing it out, filling out the waters, now it's a different situation where it's like, if he does show up and if he does reach out, it's basically being like, cool, are you ready for what I'm ready for? Are you ready to go on a date? You ready to talk about the future? Because if you're not, then like, you know, that's fine, I'm going to leave you in your corner. And so there is a need for him to really mature and like level up with some of these placements, to really be somebody who can kind of create this divine union between the two of you. 6 days, 8 days, I think you're going to definitely hear something, but he needs to have something tangible in order for you to reconnect. But it looks positive. Hopefully that was helpful. Bopping on back over I'm going to, oh, I see you now, Sam. So I will wrap up Catherine and then I will read for you, Sam. So Catherine, you were asking questions about your living situation from what I remember. Let's see. Yeah. What is the energy around my living situation, finding a new place? From what I remember, you got a lot of Scorpio in your chart, and having, you know, Scorpio heavy in your chart with some of the Saturn Uranus squares. For many Scorpios, they're dealing with like a lot of residence issues revolving around family, where you're going to live, what's going on with your living situation. So let's see what the cards have to say for you, Catherine, revolving around that. And then I will be looking at Sam. Holy cow, Catherine. Put your big girl pants on because there's some shit happening here. I have some other questions, so hopefully you're seeing this and you can kind of bounce back and kind of let me know what's going on. Can you remind me what your rising sign is? I mean, to be honest with you, these are cards that are kind of dealing with some like really rocky situations. And I don't know if this is like stuff that's impending or if this is something that's already kind of happening now, but let's break it down. Three of Swords is coming up, and this is coming up for you reversed. So thankfully, this is a card that talks about moving out of situations where there's been some really tumultuous emotional things happening or some very difficult situations, you know, healing after grief, learning to let something go, dealing with heartbreak or dealing with some kind of disappointment. Two, then we have the Ace of Swords coming up. So the Ace of Swords does sometimes reference new beginnings, especially pertaining to like leases. Okay, cool. Do you mind me asking, like, did somebody die? Did a relationship end? Like, what's happening here? What is this disappointment that it's talking about? This is a funeral card. This is a death card. This deals with heartbreak. Looking at all of these cards coming up together is a little dicey. So I'm wondering what's happening there. Is there a change in a relationship, or has there been a change in the family that has prompted this at all? Let me know. But if you're Leo rising, you know, man, you got Uranus in your 10th house, all of these planets natally in your 4th, because you got a lot of Scorpio and Saturn in your natal 7th. So really you're getting it from all angles, Catherine. I know you know this, but you're getting it from all angles. And really what it's saying is, especially between the squares between your 10th house of career and Saturn in your 7th house, it's the setup for making big changes when it comes to your career, your title, your status, but equally about your status out in the world when it pertains to relationships. So something about this spread is talking about that specifically. No deaths or relationship changes. Okay, buckle up. Because with the transits that are coming in your chart, with the eclipses that are coming in your chart, granted, death can be, especially when you have a lot of Scorpio energy, death comes in all shapes and sizes. It's not always about a physical death. Sometimes it can be about new beginnings. New job right now. Okay, cool. So the way that I see it is that this is about moving through disappointments or like coming into a place of healing. Because if you're asking about your living situation, to me, it does seem that you do need some kind of healing. But I do not get the impression that moving is going to be something that's going to happen immediately right now. Look for this to be something that's happening around Libra season, perhaps right before your birthday. Especially when you think about your chart, the 3rd house is movement, okay? And you're going to have a Mercury retrograde happening in your 3rd house of movement, and it's going to square Pluto. So a lot of your move in your living situation is going to really revolve around organization, your schedule, if you can swing it, where you're working. Like there's a lot of things that are going to kind of factor into this. And I would say that it does seem like that there is an offer or an opportunity coming for your living situation. The Ace of Swords can be like a lease or making a decision to sign something. But I'm going to caution you to be very careful with where it ultimately is that you decide to live. because it seems like you might move into a place, or you might find a place that looks great, but it's not very peaceful. Once again, here's the Four of Swords coming up reversed. Not being something that allows you to rest. It can be noisy. It can be stressful. It can be something that is just energetically off. I do see something coming. One thing I would say is that if this were me, if you're in a situation where you don't have to move at the moment, it may be better for you to wait until some of these eclipses shake out. You've got an eclipse coming in your 10th house pretty soon, and it will make some polar oppositions to planets in your 4th. So you can see some friction up until about mid-November, revolving around your schedule and work and making time and things like that. Equally, if you've got Saturn in your 7th, part of what's going to happen is you're going to start meeting people or connecting with people in other places, whether you're looking for it or not. Or you're going to have a situation where if you are dating somebody, they're going to be traveling or playing around with a relocation. So I could see that there's an actual delay that's happening with the moving situation or signing of a lease. I kind of feel inclined to tell you it may be best for you to wait a maximum of, 4 months. Definitely looking is a good idea, but there's going to be a lot of things that are going to get changed up as a result of the eclipses that will be happening in your natal placements in the 4th. So I think from what I remember, you've got like Sun and Saturn there. So that eclipse that's coming around the 19th of November is going to be activating some kind of move. Now, on the flip side, this is also saying if you have to move and if you have to do something quickly, it may be a good idea to consider or contemplate doing something temporary or getting into something where you're able to go month to month for 4 months, or you're maybe able to get into a situation where you're doing like a a sublease for a place and you're taking something over, or maybe you're able to kind of like finish up somebody's lease just to buy some time. So to me, it seems like it's really, really important for you to really think about this before you make moves. And yeah, I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, but just between eclipses in your 4th and a South Node transit that's coming there for you in the next year, it's inevitable there is going to be a move, but there can be several moves if you don't set it up in a timely fashion. And you can get into a situation where it's like you're moving and then you can find yourself moving again next spring. So to avoid that from happening, I would really encourage you to wait probably at least until Mercury has gone direct in Libra in mid-October, and it's building into trines, both with either Saturn, so it'll literally be right around the time it goes direct, I think around the 18th. Or when Mercury gets up to where it's making trines with Jupiter in Aquarius, where, the perfect situation can kind of open up for you. And that's more so likely like the end of October going into November. Certainly the eclipse can bring about the move. So the one thing I would say is that, if you're not in a situation where you absolutely have to move, be patient, give it up to about 4 months if that's what you need to do. But I do see an opportunity coming, but it does require you to cut or let something go or sever something. So you could also be in a situation where it's just like, oh, I really want to get rid of my place, but it's like really close to work, or I really, really, really want to focus on this new job, but it needs to be in a space where I have enough room to be able to do that. If you're working and you're creating from home, somehow these affect each other. So be mindful of that. And like I said, I'm not crazy about some of the cards because it does talk about, in order to bring in the new, there is a need to go through some kind of like either emotionally or like literally kind of like heartbreaking situations and endings and things that you don't really want to end in order to bring about this new beginning. But, Scorpio to Scorpio, okay, cool. Yeah. If you can wait until at least, start looking around, I would say like, maybe mid-October, from mid-October until about mid-December, I think you're in the clear. Also for a Scorpio, not exactly the best time to be moving around Christmas. So kind of like that mid to second half of November is the sweet spot. Otherwise, you're looking at needing to wait until closer to next spring. So yeah, about 4 months is what it's looking like, okay? Let me know how it goes. I would also say set an intention. you know, this new moon that's coming in Libra can be a wonderful time to set an intention revolving around manifesting the perfect space, the perfect setup, writing it out, ritualizing it, getting everything ready. And certainly planets like Venus and Mars going into Scorpio this fall is going to be a wonderful time for Scorpios to move. You will find yourself in a situation, though, if you don't move within these sweet spots before next spring, the Saturn squares are going to make it more challenging for you to move. So if you are able to do that, definitely do that and try to do that before the end of the year if you can, okay? Good vibes, put it out there, tell the universe that you're looking for the most amazing spot ever. I'm confident that just in you asking around with that Ace of Swords or looking and talking to people, there's definitely going to be something that is going to manifest and show itself. All right. So I'm going to move on over to Sam. She's asking questions about what to open up to, how to deal with some stuff that's going on revolving around love. And the next step, considering some of the stuff that she's gone through recently with some chaos with a car. So sending you positive vibes with that. So let's see what the cards have to say for you, Sam. You're welcome. Now I'm personally invested, so let me know what happens. Those cards make me a little anxious. All right, so this is for Sam. I don't know if we still have her, but she'll pop in and probably watch this and come back to it. So the cards that we have for you are the Hermit, the Two of Wands, and the Queen of Wands reversed. To me, this seems like a real need to take a step back and really focus on your personal space and be kind of aware of like how much of an effect people are actually having on you personally right now. The Hermit card can be talking about the mess of planets that are in Virgo right now. Certainly can be really challenging if you've got a whole bunch of planets in Sag in your 6th house. It does deal with things like for, you know, Sages, they'll say, well, there's a lot of work and things that needs to be done. But when in reality, I look at that more as the work that's taking place for you in your 3rd and your 4th house, the emotional work, the reorganizing of the space, the controlling the things that are only, you know, within your realm. Like I saw a meme today. It wasn't really a meme. I think it was like more so like an inspirational post, but it said like, you know, a person who says like whatever it is, what it is a very dangerous person. And I looked at that and I started laughing because I was like, there's a lot of truth to that, that I resonate with that a lot right now. There are some things that are completely out of your control, and those things are not your fucking problem. What you want to focus on right now with the Hermit card and the Two of Wands is your security, your happiness, your vision, your home, your health, your work, like what you can work on, not necessarily other people. So for that to be coming up with a Two of Wands, it's kind of saying like, okay, I'm in search of solutions for myself. This is a very mercurial kind of placement. So when I think about, you know, what's happening with your chart, because you have so much Virgo energy that's really moving more so through like the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th house, more so the 3rd and the 4th house. It's about what can you control about your thoughts? What can you control about your transportation? What can you control? What can you do? Don't be so focused on other people. The Two of Wands is a card that talks about active planning and the direction in which you're going in and having the world at your feet, and thinking about other ways of physically getting around or other directions you can go in, other things that you can start and initiate. And it's like weighing out some of these options. Usually this is a card that I see that comes up before somebody embarks on something, right? The Hermit is also a card that I see that comes up before somebody embarks on something. But unlike the Fool who's like, I'm packing my bags, I'm hitting the road, the Hermit is like, okay, well, I'm bringing in all of the things that I need into my home, and I'm closing up shop, and I'm focusing on doing yoga for a week, or I'm focusing on, you know, meditating, or I'm focusing on kind of getting my health and my wellness and my routine back in track. So it seems to be talking about the own personal vision and the need to kind of really close the windows and the doors and really be focusing on what you need. The Hermit also talks about Mercury. So it can be talking about your thoughts, your ideas, your business, your contracts, your communications. Like almost in a way, it kind of makes me feel like you need to kind of block certain people out right now so you can have more clear of a sense of direction with where you're going, and like getting like less distracted by all of the static that is around you, because there seems to be a lot of static. I see with the Queen of Wands reversed is like not the most positive channeled energy of a Sagittarius woman. And like if there's anything, and you know, being a Sag, like a pissed off Sag is not a good situation to be in, because the Queen of Wands reversed is like not utilizing her energy and her talents in the best way. It's like getting angry, getting reactionary, getting frustrated, acting out, you know, possibly having like fits of emotional things that are kind of popping up. And usually when she's upright, she's warm, she's friendly, she's happy. But when she's reversed, it's like you see a side of her that's either kind of manic, or a side of her that's really angry or reactionary, or somebody who can even get kind of like physically physically reactionary, really sensitive. Like it's really kind of saying there's a need to pull your energy in so you're not like, you know, beating people up, or you're not like, you know, potentially like losing it and like throwing things and having tantrums. Equally, when she's reversed, it talks about her going through health issues, and that there can be, you know, problems like rashes or fevers, or there can be fits of rage, or there can be actual accidents and things that can happen as a result of the body, or even like the nervous system responding to all of the energy that is around you. So there is almost like a need for like a 2-day, 2-week period to really take a step back, maybe go and be more so in nature, and disassociating from people who you're either working with or people who are around you that may even have bad habits. We're talking about you, Sam. And that this could be, you know, something that is a period of also of enlightenment. So that's the other thing, is that, you know, when the Hermit carries the lantern, he has the ability to hold it up and kind of see things subconsciously within himself that he doesn't always like to look at. So it can be a really hard period introspectively also in dealing with some of the stuff that's coming out. And not all of it is as a result of the people that are around you. Some of this may be repressed rage, or the fact that you feel like right when you're trying to kind of go in a specific direction and move forward, that people hold you back. But what it's really showing you is that you can't lose sight of the direction of where you're going, or you can't lose sight of the path, or you know, the way forward, or what it is that you're trying to achieve, or what it is that you're trying to like experience. That if there is issues that are coming up within you, especially anger, that seems to be a thing with the Queen of Wands reversed, that it can also be, you know, something that is the beginnings of potentially like health issues, digestional issues, work issues, you know, conflicts that you're having. This also talks about service and the possibility that assistance can, you know, come up and, you know, help you and find a way forward. So I would say like finding a way to channel that anger, finding a way to channel that energy, and instead like shifting gears and being like, okay, I'm really focused on finding the solution. I'm not so focused on, you know, your quote unquote problem. You start to see shift happen. I also think that with the Two of Wands coming up with the Hermit, it's like, it's also getting you to think about, where do I see myself being long term? Like, is this a healthy place for me to be working, or a healthy way for me to be living? Is this a healthy dynamic for me to have around, you know, the people who I'm spending time with, right? So that's something else that can be coming up for you. There is definitely still a lot of purging. You're coming into you know, what is going to be eclipse season for you pretty soon. Just from what I remember about your chart also, you've got that South Node transit going through the 3rd. So you are a little bit more accident prone. Excuse me, it's going through your 6th. You are a little bit more accident prone, or you're more prone to digestional issues or health issues. So as we're coming into that eclipse, because we're in Virgo season right now, between Virgo season and between the beginning of December when we have this next eclipse, this is like the closing cycle before you start new. So part of what's going to happen here is like everything really shows itself during Virgo season that needs to be wiped out, pushed out, cleared out. And it's really going to happen in the immediate next couple of days over the new moon in Virgo. And then you're going to see kind of like the conclusion that's going to be happening for you more so in the full moon in Pisces. And it's going to push a lot of this stuff out of your system. My advice is focus on your health, because that's definitely going to bring up a lot of stuff pertaining to work, dealing with trauma, dealing with healing, being able to find healthier habits and healthier patterns. And so I definitely think that that's something that's going to shift for you. But I'm not learning another board. To me, it seems like whatever is going on with the love life, that stuff opens up more so when you're in a state where I think that emotionally you have done a little bit of like clearing. Because to me, up until the transits hit your 7th house, which you're going to be dealing with very much so at the end of this year, it's the setup to basically focus more on what's going on with you personally, at least up until like Libra season, and then more kind of relationship stuff can open up. Is it time to go still with fasting? Yeah, fasting, you know, clearing stuff out, detoxing, being in nature, like all of these things. Yeah, it's all digestive stuff because of your 6th house. And one thing that I would say that can be really helpful is like, you know, because it's in Sag, like you may be somebody who benefits from like seeing like an Ayurvedic practitioner or doing a particular kind of like diet, like an herbal diet, or even going and seeing somebody who practices like Chinese medicine. Like that can all be something that can balance a lot of that stuff out. And not a lot of people realize that, because if you have a lot of Sag, especially in the 6th house, you respond to Eastern medicine or, you know, different types of like Tai Chi or like anything that's going to be more like Eastern, you know, health philosophy and treatments rather than Western stuff, because it's all sitting in your 6th house, and you need that integration of like spirit and health or wellness in order to kind of clear stuff up. So hopefully that was helpful for you, Sam. Definitely sounds like it's a good time to be focusing on what's going on in Hermit mode. Okay, so looks like we've got Zing. I see you. Let me know if you're here. I don't know if that's the same screen name that we have for you in the chat. Let me know if you're around and what your question is. I also see that we've got one for Kristen. Kiki's in the house, and so is Elizabeth. Thank you, Lucas. I'm going to add you into the queue, so I'll get to you in just a couple of minutes. So Zing, let me know if you are here. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to Kristen, but we'll give Zing a second to pop up. Or KB. KB. Thank you, Sapphire. You're going to be right after Lucas, so stay tuned. So KB's asking, do you see a love interest before the end of the year? Thank you. I will be scheming a full reading at the end of the year. Okay, so let's see if love is on the horizon for KB at the end of the year. Funky cards, my dear. What's your sun, moon, rising? If you know it, I would love to hear it. Here's the deal. Queen of Pentacles, when she's coming up reversed, can definitely be talking about a period where there is a lot of like taking stock in yourself and really looking at your self-worth, your self-value, whether or not you're valuing yourself, being good to yourself, being kind to yourself, telling yourself that you are good enough, are worthy, are somebody who is worthy of love. Like when this comes up reversed, you can be colder, or you can be more detached, or there can be some sense of you not giving yourself credit where credit is due for what you are worthy of. Like really the remedy in this situation, coming up with the Star card, is it is kind of saying like, relationships are both going to come due to a mix of working on the self, healing the self, and equally not looking at it so much from a standpoint of, oh, I have to find a relationship. The Star card talks about wishes. It talks about healing. It talks about Aquarius. It also talks about friends. Okay, Libra rising. Okay, so Sun in Gemini, Moon in Taurus, and Libra rising. So for Libra rising, you know, Saturn and Jupiter are in your 5th house. So part of what's happening right now, and this is true, like I'm a Libra rising, so I get it. There's been a lot of like restructuring relationships and moving out of a situation where you look at relationships as having to be like this whole like fairy tale, like whimsical like thing. Saturn in the 5th house can have you feeling like you're not really feeling the love, but it's also about the self. So self-expression can be limited with having Saturn in your 5th house. Thankfully, you've got, you know, that Gemini placement in your 9th. So it does talk about love happening, love being something that's going to get even stronger for you when we come into Aquarius season. And that is when you're really going to start to see some of the changes happening. Just knowing what I know about your horoscope, girl, you got a Venus retrograde that's going to happen in your 4th at the end of the year. You got a Mercury retrograde that's going to happen in Aquarius. So that's definitely a time to reevaluate what the heart wants. Sometimes when I say the Queen of Coins, it does also talk about like long-term goals. And when she's got this reversed, it's like, sure, you can have the relationship and hold on to it and go, okay, I have somebody, so therefore I feel secure and I feel safe. But what the cards are saying is that it wants to upend all of that. It's not being with somebody because you want to be with somebody. It's being with somebody because that's the icing that's on the cake. Like feeling complete and feeling whole within yourself. That's flipping that Queen upright. Then we have the Star card, which is talking about finding your best friend or finding somebody through friends or filling your cup through friends. It's saying like right when you get to the point where there isn't such a focus on, you know, you being in a situation where it needs to be love that's coming from a romantic partner, but it's love for oneself, love for one's friends, love for one's community, then the whole thing shifts. The 5 of Wands coming up also, you know, this is a card that talks about like not pushing the river or not pushing too hard. Some Libra risings have definitely experienced a situation where, you know, friends were interested in them, but they weren't interested, or maybe, you know, they connected with somebody and they just saw them like more as kind of like, okay, you know, let's be friends. I'm not feeling that super like romantic thing going on. You may also be feeling like, you know, you feel this need to hurry up with things because you're trying to like keep up with the crowd. I would say you also want to let that go. The Libra risings that I have seen that have been the most successful in relationships this year, granted part of it's going to deal with your Venus, but have been the ones that are not really fixated on a timeline, or the ones that are not totally fixated on being able to push the relationship. It's focusing on the basis of a friendship first. So to some extent, it can be like looking for love in all the wrong places, like trying to find a relationship happen or trying to make a relationship happen. And it's like relationships aren't going to work like that anymore. There is a need to get to know somebody, become friends, introduce them to your friends, hang out, focus on being able to be friends first. And then that relationship really kind of growing and like learning that it takes more of like a direct shift into like that being also like what's healing and what's therapeutic. And oftentimes it can be that some of like the healing is going to come from your friend group as well. The Star card talks about the collective. That's also your 5th house. So sometimes it's being around younger people, going out and having fun with your friends, having your friends filling your cup, and being in a situation where you don't feel like you're rushed to meet any of society's norms or, you know, keep up with what's going on with some of your friends. You're kind of putting your energy, you know, more so into filling your own cup. And also, I want you to focus on flipping this Queen of Pentacles upright, because it can represent the the Taurus side of you, being your moon, and really kind of feeling like emotionally, you know, you don't really know where you're going to find security or where you're going to find safety. Bit of a challenging transit to have Uranus in that house and to have Saturn moving through your 5th. Definitely a lot of like inner child, self-esteem, security, romance issues that come up. the 5th house can be more superficial versus the 8th house is when we kind of like let all of our, you know, all of our fears out of the closet. And so really what I think it's saying is that in order to be in a healthy relationship, you need to have that solid foundation of a friendship, so that way you can really kind of let your guard down and be a little bit more vulnerable. The end of the year, not so much. You're probably looking at some of these changes kind of happening, and that you're still pushing through some of this stuff really up until about February. But being a fellow Libra rising myself, I can tell you that this retrograde that's coming is going to be really good for you, because you have a lot of air in your chart, natally, you know, and also in transit. So really use the Mercury retrograde in Libra as an opportunity to start getting into balance with how you feel, how your body feels, what you think, how you communicate, how you express yourself. Be really focusing on opening that heart sense. Even the 5 really talks about like moving away from feeling like you have to have an agenda, moving more into the direction of like kind of being like, okay, we're going to go with the flow. We're going to be present right now, and we're going to have fun. And I'm not fixated on the ending. I'm fixated on really being able to enjoy myself and fall in love and express yourself, which is ultimately what I think Saturn wants to kind of help teach you to do. But like I said, love is not going to be limited just to the romantic kind. Love is also meant to be shared and expanded within some of your friendships as well. So the more that you're participating in some of that stuff, and Aquarius in the 5th can be a dating pool. So it can also be that you have a pool of people that you're kind of pulling from, and there's a couple different people that you're like, well, we're friends, but it could be something more, but I don't know. We're going to see how it goes. So obviously for more insight, also look at like your annual perfection year and see what's going on there. But the big change, or the big shift, the final square between Saturn and Uranus happens right around Christmas, and it's the setup for you coming into true love, which in theory, astrologically, is supposed to be pretty much between February and April of 2022. So the cards are pretty much bang on with what's going on with your transits. You have a lot to look forward to. Detach from the timeline. Usually when you do that and you're not looking, somebody shows up and you're like, oh my God, I thought I had more time. So hopefully that is helpful for you. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yes, my ring fingernails are different than the other ones, just to bother all of the Virgos out there. It's my party finger, Lucas. It's my party fingers. All right, so let's move on. We have Kiki's Crystals. What's up, Kiki? Oh, nice to see you again. We had a nice little chat the other day. Got to do some election astrology, so that was fun. I don't get to do those too often. Ran into my old best friend yesterday. Sometimes I don't know if the universe is testing me, if it's a sign I need to forgive and reconnect. It's been a mental battle. Just looking for any insight. Appreciate you. All right, so let's see what's up with running into your ex-best friend. Must be something in our astrology, because I know our charts are very similar. I had one of my ex-best friends, actually, from high school, man, what, 14 years ago? Who out of the blue sent me a friend request on Facebook. All right, so let's take a look. Ooh, okay. Well, those kind of jumped out, so we're going to read these. Not bad cards. You know, the one thing that I would say is that, to me, this seems like therapeutic, right? So you've got the 8 of Swords that is coming up upright, reversed. So it's kind of saying like moving away from a painful situation, especially if it was like a situation where you feel like it wasn't handled well, or that, you know, somebody just kind of left you high and dry, and like they didn't apologize, or they weren't there when you needed them, or there was a situation where you just kind of feel like they did you dirty, right? So 8 of Swords reversed, thankfully, is like all the swords are falling away, the anxiety, there's some kind of clearing here, revolving around whatever happened between the two of you, especially if it was a situation where in your mind you were like, I didn't get closure, or, you know, they never apologized, or, you know, she never, you know, told me what really happened or why she walked away. Like whatever happened, it's basically saying, you know, now you're moving away from feeling locked happening. It's not that you're being tested. It's that it is a clearing. Temperance is therapeutic. It's healing. It's all about timing. It's talking about the timing of how long it took to be able to clear the air. It can also talk about it being healing and kind of like seeing a situation where, to be honest with you, from my perspective, this is not somebody who I think is like looking for drama. This is somebody who noticed that you guys had the connection, and they looked at the situation and they went like, oh, okay, well, let's see how, you know, she responds to me. I don't see any negativity. I don't see any hostility. I do feel like the Temperance card is kind of saying like, there needed to be a period of time before the air can be cleared. Also in this card, you have Gabriel. Also in this card, you have daffodils, and you have 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the ground. So it is saying just the actual connection or running into each other is meant to be something physical that brings about emotional shifts. So it's asking you, how do you feel? Is there still anger there? Is there still hostility there? Is there still hurt feelings there? Is there a need to be able to heal this, release this, let this go? That way that there can be like light that comes in and illuminates the situation and, you know, fills it with joy or clears something. I need an apology, presents, notes, candy, crystals. spoken like a true Scorpio. I also feel, to be honest with you, that, and this is like a hard one because I deal with this stuff too, but to me, this seems like you're being given the opportunity to make the conscious decision to just let go of the body and not drag around a situation where you're holding a grudge. I'm not saying you need to be friends. I'm not even saying you need to talk to her. But it's the sun is coming in basically saying this is an opportunity. We're going to shine a light on this and ask you, do you want to let this go? Do you want to choose happy, right? Do you want to choose joy? Because where you're going is bright and it is filled with happiness and it is filled with I think positivity. I think that I would be lying if I said that this person wasn't waiting to see your response, to see if you were going to respond well to them or if you were going to be warm or if you were going to be fuzzy, because in their mind, it's like, well, maybe she's over it. Maybe we can talk again. I don't think you are, obviously, but it's really about whether or not you're willing to let go of the grudge. So I think the Temperance and the Sun card really kind of talks about like it just taking a little bit of light to illuminate the situation and show you that you can let the light in and you can let go of the heaviness. Even in this card, you see the sun that's rising. Bury the body, meaning like be done with it, put it in the past, let it go, not carry it around anymore, not carry around the weight of that situation. I feel like I don't really see you getting back with them, but I feel like that this encounter, like I said, is the very beginning process of you being like, okay, I'm good, I'm gonna let that go. Like, you know, they're lost. I don't really need to be friends with this person anymore, but equally, I'm not going to be angry when I think about it, or I'm not going to be in a situation where I let other people get a rise out of me as a result of their selfishness or as a result of them not being self-aware. Yeah, like literally, trust me, when the sun comes up with Temperance, it's basically saying like, this is a renewal. I do feel like there's a possibility, and this sounds kind of strange, but there may be other situations, especially at the end of this year. It can either happen in like Sag season, or it can be actually happening for you next spring, where somehow there's going to be another run-in. Somehow there's going to be another thing that you guys may cross paths, especially with the Sun card coming up. There can be celebrations, there can be birthdays, hanging out with other friends, there can be weddings, there can be a baby that's born, somebody gets pregnant, and then it's going to be like this situation where it's going to be like, okay, but do I reach out to them? Like, you know, are we going to make amends? There's more things coming where you're going to have the opportunity to do that. So this door is not completely closed yet. You're going to be given the opportunity to reevaluate this. But right now it seems like if they had it their way, they would, you know, move back into interacting with you and talking to you, because it does seem like that they do miss your presence in their life, but they're not going to acknowledge what they did wrong. They're just going to be like, okay, let's just move on. The problem is that that's not really how this works for you anymore. That once somebody has, you know, hurt you or taken advantage of, you know, your kindness, or done something that has really been like a no-fly zone in the friendship, you need to acknowledge it and move on. So I don't really feel like this person's ready. You'll have another opportunity if you decide that you want to re-engage with them again. Could happen at the end of the year, could be happening next spring. I would say maybe look for that to be going on around the full moon that's going to happen in Leo, so it'll be the spring of next year. That'll bring in another opportunity to reconnect with them. But right now, no, it's not a test. That's not negative. It's for you to look at it and go, I don't want to carry this around anymore. Why? It's going to make more space for the kind of friends that you do want to have. Hopefully that's helpful. We've got Elizabeth, and then I am popping over, and then I will be talking to Lucas and Sapphire. So don't worry, guys. I did not forget about you. All right, Elizabeth, I'd love some guidance regarding love. I'm currently going through a heartbreak. Scorpio Sun, Leo Moon, Cap Rising. All right, so Scorpio Sun, Cap Rising, Leo Moon. Well, that's about right. That's about right. Oh my God, girl, what happened? Thanks, Kristen. What happened? Who was not being honest? Who was not being forthcoming? Who was not being faithful? I mean, here's the thing, boo-boo. This is what I'm going to tell you, okay? Genuinely, I really feel like you dodged a bullet with this one. Because Three of Swords reversed does talk about moving out of heartbreak. There's a lot of similar cards coming up. Also, you know, just with some of the energies that are coming up for you right now with all of your fixed placements, both Saturn in opposition to your moon and Uranus in opposition to your sun, is trying to get you to be less rigid, because fixed signs are rigid in how you see things, okay, or how you approach things. Three of Swords does, you know, come up, and it does talk about moving out of a heartbreaking situation, but somebody's true colors being shown, okay? Seven of Swords is like this like sneaky little guy, and he's like stealing swords, and he's sneaking off, and you see him leaving two behind, and this can be not telling the complete truth, not being completely honest, omitting things, and he's got 5 that he's taking with him. So when this is reversed, he gets caught. So I'm wondering, how did you catch this situation? Was there dishonesty? Was there somebody not being honest with you? Was it a situation where somebody was leading you on, misleading you? This could have gotten much worse. And I say this lovingly because the 5 of Cups is coming up, the 4 of Cups is coming up reversed. So in this deck, with this particular card, you see 3 of Cups upright and then the Ace of Cups. So he's pouting, he's got his like arms crossed, and he's like, you know, that person, you know, like it didn't work out with that person. I don't know why they did this or why they did that, and this didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go. And he's completely oblivious to the fact that the cloud is offering him the Ace of Cups, which is a new opportunity. Basically what this is saying is that you can move through this. Yes, it's heartbreaking, but I feel like, to be honest with you, this has like major fuckboy vibes, and somebody who may not have been as genuine from the beginning, or somebody who, you know, wasn't like being really careful, like somebody who was being reckless with your heart, right? And like you can't put up with people who are being reckless with your heart. Ultimately, it's going to come out if that's what's happening. I think that this is also some frustration in focusing on, you know, wanting to gloss over things and thinking things were like better than they really were. I also can see that with the Ace of Cups or the 4 of Cups reversed, it's like you're missing out on any opportunity for real love. Okay, really think about that. Being a Cap Rising, also just thinking about like the horoscopes that I did recently, the new and the full moon is quite intense for you in this next month, and a lot of it deals with your mental mindset, right? So you think about like all of the planets that are moving through your 9th house and making oppositions to what's going on with all of the planets that are in your 3rd. It's how you think, how you communicate, what you believe, whether or not you're keeping the faith, right? So I really want you to pay attention to that, because I feel like that's a big piece of the puzzle for you. I also feel like it may take you about 4 weeks to get over this. You want to watch for depression, because depression can come up with the 4 of Cups, especially when it's reversed. not processing the emotions and dealing with the emotions. It can also be like a state of like holding yourself back and not going and socializing with people, or staying home, drinking, sleeping, indulging, and like not moving through the pain. So that's another way that I can see this. Let me know your thoughts on this, because I gotta tell you, like, at least this is a completion. Like, it tells me that, I don't know if like you went round and round with this person, but like the 3 and the 7 coming up together creates a 10. So it also makes me feel like if you've been back and forth, or if this is like a repetitive period, or a repetitive kind of theme that you've had with relationships, now you're in a situation where you're finally like wiping it out, and you're finally clearing it out, going like, okay, no more of this. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm not bringing up this reoccurring pain anymore, or I'm finally cutting this person off. The other thing that I'll tell you is like, don't get hung up on, you know, did they leave because of XYZ? Did they find something better? You know, why don't they care about my feelings? Like, I know this sounds insensitive, but trust me, because sometimes in my sessions, I have to tell clients, like, here's the deal, girl. He's not in a room paying somebody to ask questions about you. That's one of these situations. That's not what he's doing. So sitting around worrying about somebody and not putting the energy back on yourself, or focusing on like what you can do to progress and move forward, that's really what you want to focus on, because something here is fishy. The 7 of Swords and the 3 of Swords is saying it's heartbreak, but it's heartbreak as a result of somebody leading you on, or not being completely honest, or not being honest even with themselves. Maybe it's not even necessarily you. Maybe it's you taking it personally, going, I don't understand what's wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. There isn't something wrong with you. This is somebody else's hang up. The fact that somebody else is not willing to take responsibility, I think, and like really show up the way that they need to show up, but also possibly still dealing with some previous heartbreaking situations, or previous hang-ups in relationships, and making excuses and telling you why they can't really show up for you right now. So you're taking it all in, going, there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not you. This is more somebody else's shit. Be very mindful that you're in kind of a sensitive place. Sometimes when these cards come up, somebody else can come around, and it can just very quickly kind of pique your attention, and you can repeat the same pattern. So it's really kind of reminding you, at least give it 3 weeks, maybe as long as 7, to clear this out. Get outside, don't isolate yourself, and really focus on more about where you're going. Don't miss these opportunities for new love and new relationships as a result of crying over somebody who, frankly, the cards are saying they're not worth it. Sending you lots of love. Hopefully that's helpful. Rhodochrosite is something I would recommend. Rhodochrosite, Nirvana quartz, you know, tangerine, aura quartz, orange selenite. All of these are things that can really kind of help move those feels out and about in your body. If you don't know where to find that stuff, ask Kiki's Crystals. I'm sure she has all kinds of connections to that stuff, or she can make you something too, because I'm sure she knows about all these crystals that I was just talking about. Okay, so that was everybody. So now let's move on over. It is last call. If you guys have any readings, get your readings in now. Otherwise, I've got Lucas, and then I've got Sapphire. So we're going to take last call for readings right now. Otherwise, this is the last of my people. Lucas says, okay, so I've been thinking about the past at my grandfather's house. There's a negative energy in on the staircase going up the attic. Bedrooms. I would sleep when I stayed there. Ooh, spooky. You're welcome, Elizabeth. All right, so let's see what's up with Lucas's haunted grandpa's like attic space. Does he still have the house? Do you still go up there? So what do we need to know about that space? It's interesting also because you have a cap moon, Lucas. So I could also see like Pluto hanging out around your moon. Venus is going retrograde. You're wondering, is there like funky energy there? Pluto moon can definitely be dealing with like ghosts and homes and hauntings and deceased spirits, and attic would definitely be like the 12th house, or maybe even Yeah, it could be the 10th house, maybe more so the 12th, but you've got Neptune in your 12th right now. So that sextile can be that there's some activity there. So let's see. If you do have access to the space, you should go up there with like an EMF reader and see if it's active. Holy cow. Where was this? Is this an older house? No, he passed away when I was in the 12th grade. Okay. So here's the thing. First of all, these are 3 major arcana cards. I'm just going to keep it real. This is like the vibe that I'm getting. Grandmother passed away in the house. Yeah. So, okay, 2 things. I think that there's several energies there. I think that there's energies there both in a sense of people who actually passed, but I don't think that that's like the vibe that I'm getting. I think it's more kind of dealing with 2 separate energies. So one, like, yeah, grandma can be active in the house. She can be around, but that's not the spooky energy that I'm getting. Remember how I said Neptune and how Neptune can like deal, or the 12th house can deal with it? To me, it looks like there are some people who did some like weird, like ritualistic stuff in the attic. It also looks to me like you had somebody that was collecting things or keeping things previously in the house. And so like literally like the Hangman and the Magician, it's like my mind goes to, what's that movie that came out recently, like that occult movie where it was like all about like the family and there was a bunch of weird stuff going on, and like the brother takes the little girl to the party and she like dies, and then there's like all this weird shit going on in the house. I can't think of what it's called. Hopefully somebody knows what I'm talking about, but it's like a recent movie. It's by the same people who made Midsummer. So I keep thinking of that scene where like the grandma was like up in the top part of the attic and was like doing like rituals and stuff. So this does talk about that there is like an energy in the house that was probably very connected to your grandfather, was like very loving and protecting and all of that energy. But there's also another energy in the house that's from either people doing some kind of ritual work in the attic, or from somebody like actually storing things that energetically had like vibes. The weird thing is that I don't think it's like somebody who's like a practicing occultist that was, yeah, hereditary, thank you. I don't think it was like a practicing occultist that was up there. To me, it seems like it's somebody who was very devout in their practice in terms of their religion or their spirituality. But to me, it seems like whatever they were doing, they were like summoning certain energies and they were bringing stuff in that hung around. Like they may have been opening and closing energetic portals, or they may have had things that were very specifically used in ritual and stuff like that. So think like, I know it sounds weird, but it's like, you know, stuff that, you know, was in funerals, or stuff that was like used in, you know, churches, or like things that people may have been a part of, even like a Masonic order. Like that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting, because the Hangman is a secret society and the Magician is about ritual. So you may have had some Freemason shit going on there. You may have had people who were involved in the Freemasons that had lived there, or maybe perhaps had stuff in the attic pertaining to that. But to me, it seems like more items, and somebody who was like practicing in secret. It doesn't seem like sinister though. It seems more like just people who definitely had some rituals or routines or things that they were doing, but maybe perhaps it left like an energetic imprint physically on the space. The other thing that I'll tell you is sometimes the Hangman can actually deal with like spirits that are caught in between. So not so much grandma, but it can be talking about like other spirits that died in the house that have decided to kind of hang around. They definitely have a more masculine energy, and that, you know, they have a tendency to be interested in what's going on in the home. So I don't, like I said, it's not sinister, but it definitely to me seems like you either had somebody who was like a practicing like Freemason, or somebody who was a part of a secret society, who was very active in that space, and possibly even had things in that space. Do you know about the history of the home? I'll go as far as saying sometimes, and I'm not really seeing any dark or sinister cards here, but sometimes the Hangman can talk about spirits getting caught there, but the Hangman can also talk about a hanging taking place. No, I don't think so. I think there's probably some kind of burial within the home, like the actual like home itself within the ground. Equally, it can be talking about some kind of like ritual stuff that was kind of going on within the grounds there, on the grounds of the property, or stuff that was going on the grounds before the actual home was built. So that's something else that I would kind of think about. But to me, it seems like this was like a property that was kept in the family for a while, even before your family. To me, it seems like there was like people, like a lot of family that went in and out of the home or occupied the home, or it spanned several generations. So to me, it seems like there's a little bit of history that's already kind of in this space. So spooky, spooky, spooky. Hopefully that was helpful. And let me know, do you have dreams about the house? Sometimes Cap Moons, when they're having Pluto-Neptune transits, they'll have dreams about the house, or they'll have memories in their dreams. I would wonder if you're having that. All right, so now we're going to bop on over to Sapphire. Any particular focus for me to help open my energy? Feeling stagnant. All right. So this is for you, Sapphire, and what you need to know about moving that energy around. I think, doesn't Penn State do a lot of paranormal investigation? Don't they have like a team up there? From what I remember. Is that where you're from? I forgot. I think Penn State does. All right, so what does Sapphire need to know about moving this energy around? Yeah, I could see that. All right, so for Sapphire, we have 7 of Coins reversed, Page of Pentacles upright, 4 of Pentacles. Good news is that this is temporary. It's going to be shifting. I want to talk to you a little bit about either your routine, whether this is like work and if you're feeling fulfilled with your work, or if you're in a situation where you're in the process of making changes to your diet or to your health. Is there anything like that going on? 7 of Pentacles reversed is like a lot of like, I hope this is going to pan out. You know, I'm not seeing results yet, or I'm not necessarily seeing the results of, you know, this new lifestyle change, or I'm really hoping that I'm going to get results from this job or from this project. Like definitely stagnant. This is a card of feeling stagnant or feeling stuck. But this is also a card of like saying, like, if you're going through the same routines and you're feeling like you're not seeing change, or you're not seeing positive shifts and manifestations, it's time to kind of shake up the status quo. This can also be talking about whether or not you're feeling like you're doing fulfilling work, whether or not you feel like the food that you're eating is nourishing for your body, whether or not, you know, you're dealing with boredom. Then we've got the Page of Pentacles, which does talk about new opportunities, new beginnings, planting new seeds, especially revolving around financial security. So this can be talking about like making changes in how you invest your money, making changes in what you prioritize, starting something new, some kind of training or learning something new, maybe just what the doctor ordered. Could it require a little bit of like an investment? It could be something like taking a workshop, or going like, okay, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to start working on learning about gardening. I know this sounds silly, but sometimes this does represent actual literal seeds, and this represents like work. Or going out and doing yard work, or going out and like learning how to grow stuff, or learning how to cook. So that could be something else, is like playing much more of like a physical active role in making changes with your routine. Eating things that are going to be really nurturing, especially emotionally. So this can also be like taking new supplements and things to kind of enhance your mood. So that can be something else that's coming up. And then the 4 of Wands is a positive card. I feel like, especially if you're somebody who is more of like a solitary worker, or you work more independently, or you work by yourself, or you're dealing with a situation where you haven't felt like you've been having enough social interaction, it's really encouraging you to go out and go and be with like-minded people. So it is also possible that it's saying like, you know, there is a need for you to like get out there and go and be in a group setting, going to a networking event for like-minded people, going to like a, you know, a group cooking class, class or going out and doing something around other people. Because the Four of Wands is celebrating. So if you're feeling a little hermity, if you're feeling a little stuck, just getting out and about is an accomplishment for you right now. To me, it seems like there is something to look forward to. I would encourage you to get into the habit, at least over the next couple of weeks, over the next 7 weeks, to set the intentions for doing one new thing or investing in yourself a new way once a week. And do this for like literally like, 4 to 7 weeks. So that way you have something on the calendar that you have to look forward to. And you're like, okay, I'm working towards this, or I'm looking forward to this, or I'm working towards this goal. Because to me, it seems like it's going to really improve your social life. And it's also going to give you the opportunity to go out there and connect with people a little bit more and feel like you can enjoy yourself. Outdoor events, even craft fairs, going out to parties, like seeing music and things that are outside, going and being outside and shopping, going out and doing, things socially with groups of people, eating and doing supplements, home health care, one vulnerable client. Yeah. So what I would say is this: if you're in home health care, like the the 7 of coins coming up with the Page of Pentacles can be you kind of asking yourself, am I enjoying being in this type of work? Does it feel fulfilling? Do I need to learn something new? So I don't know if you're in home health care in a sense of like you're going in and you're a caretaker, or you're in home health care where you're like dealing with like the financial sides of things. But to me, it seems like this is more like going out and having a good time and like kind of like party energy. Like you may need to actually prioritize putting things on the schedule and going, okay, I'm going to go and do something every Friday or every Saturday night for the next 2 months. What's it going to be? And starting to put things on the calendar. Goal-oriented things are definitely going to get things moving and shaking. And I would say the supplements or the changes that you're making in your health, don't cut yourself short. You need more time to see the benefits of some of this stuff, especially when you're getting into like herbal regimens and things. It can take longer for some of that stuff to really kind of pan out. So give it a little bit more time. I would also say like this is just going and being outside and being able to get some sunlight, or being able to go outside and even just like dancing or being a little bit more active and like cutting loose and doing something different than what you would usually do. Give it at least 4 to 7 weeks and you're going to see a change. And you know what? Sometimes when you're feeling like you're in a little bit of a funk, going outside and getting your hands in the dirt and gardening or potting plants, or if you want to do some kind of pottery, or if you want to do some kind of like group hiking, something like that is definitely going to shift all of your energy. Yeah. Also, 7 of coins reversed in the Page of Pentacles can have you questioning, like, is my work draining me? And is this something I can actually literally physically do long term? Like that kind of healthcare, is very challenging when you're dealing with people who are older, or they're in pain, or they're going through ailments or whatever, because you can absorb that. So this is also you looking at this going like, okay, if I'm going to be doing this, I need some kind of balance in my day-to-day routine. I need something to look forward to get me through the week. Start creating those things. Start going and doing things and meeting new people. That's going to be the best way to get you out there and feeling better. Hopefully that was helpful. Hi, Swats. Nice to see you. Thanks for dropping by and saying hello. And thank you guys, those of you guys who joined me for the live readings. It was awesome seeing all of you all. I will be back and doing my live. It'll be, well, I don't do them live anymore. It's a long story, but I'll be back on Monday. You'll have my weekly videos, so stay tuned for that. That should probably come out sometime in the morning, maybe the afternoon on Monday. Maybe I'll try to get it out a little bit earlier for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Also, I'm super open to recommendations if you guys have videos and things that you want me to do. I'm looking at maybe trying to do like an event where I do some lectures about some of the bigger transits coming into the end of this year. If that's something you're interested in, please let me know. Any other topics, I'm also open to that. And thank you to all of my subscribers, those of you guys who support the channel, all of the levels, it doesn't matter. I really appreciate you. You make it possible for me to keep coming back on here and doing more. I'm making new videos for you guys, and I'm really excited to be kind of getting back out there and creating some more educational videos. So don't forget to hit the bell button, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see all of you guys very soon. You enjoy your weekend, and I will, I'll be chatting with you guys shortly. Take care.